Welcome everyone to this explainer on the Later Vedic Age. We're going to be looking at a truly fascinating era that, in many ways, set the stage for the India we recognize today. We are talking about a period where absolutely everything shifted. I mean, how people lived, how they were governed, and how they fundamentally thought about the universe around them. This is the historical turning point where the base structures of a massive, complex civilization were laid down. So let's jump right in. To really grasp the sheer magnitude of this era, we have to start by asking a core question. What major changes transformed the Varna system, the monarchy, and religious life after the Rigvedic period? Why exactly is the Later Vedic Age considered such a massive pivot in Indian history? You see, the society of the earlier Rigvedic period was largely semi-nomadic. They were pastoral. But suddenly, we see these incredible, sweeping transformations happening across every single level of society. By unpacking this question today, you're going to understand exactly how early mobile communities evolved into complex, grounded states. Here is our roadmap for today. We're going to break this complex subject down into 4 key themes. First up, geography and economy. Second, a rigid social structure. Third, the rise of monarchies. And finally, religion and philosophy. Now, before we look at those specific changes, let's establish our strict chronological boundaries. We are focusing on the period spanning roughly from 1000 BCE to 600 BCE. This 400-year stretch is our sandbox today. It's during this highly specific window that the major transitions from early Vedic life into a highly structured, settled society actually took place.
Section 1, Geography and Economy.
So this perfectly illustrates the chain reaction that really kicked off the entire era. Aryan communities started expanding eastward from the northwest of the Indian subcontinent, moving deep into the incredibly fertile Ganga-Yamuna plains. But step two is the real game changer here, the discovery of iron. I mean, it's almost like an ancient industrial revolution. Suddenly, with tough iron axes, they could clear the dense, stubborn forests of the plains. And with heavy iron plowshares, they could turn that incredibly nutrient-rich, heavy soil. This technological leap directly caused step 3, a massive agricultural development. Farming officially replaced cattle rearing as the primary occupation, which led to tremendous food surpluses. And here's the thing, once you have a surplus, you just don't have to move around anymore. This newfound permanence led straight into step 4, the rise of trade, early commerce, and the establishment of settled territorial states known as Janapadas. Basically, one geographical shift and one major technological breakthrough completely rewired their entire economy. Moving on to section 2, a rigid social structure. With all that new economic wealth and settled living, the social fabric fundamentally tightened up. The Varna system, which in the earlier period was actually fairly fluid and based on your occupation, became rigidly hereditary. You were now bound to your birth class, no exceptions. We also see the cementing of the large joint family structure. This was typically headed by the eldest male, and it became the absolute standard unit of society. Now, unfortunately, this period also marks noticeable changes in women's status. We see a pretty clear decline in their previous participation in political assemblies, along with a general tightening of patriarchal control over everyday life. On the educational front, things got highly organized. The system became formalized through gurukuls, where students would actually go live with their teachers for years to master the Vedas and other specialized skills. All right, so we've covered the economic boom and the tightening of the social classes. But, the economy is really only half the story here. To understand the whole picture, we have to ask another big question. What changes in politics and religion laid the foundation for the massive Mahajanapadas and shaped broader Indian culture? Because power and belief, well, that is where things get truly complex. Section 3, the rise of monarchies. The entire dynamic of power completely flipped during this time. Back in the early Vedic period, the king was more of a tribal chief. He was a leader among equals, kept in check by democratic assemblies known as the Sabha and the Samiti. But as those territories we talked about grew into settled, wealthy Janapadas, the king's power grew exponentially. Kings became hereditary, they started claiming divine right, and they built complex administrative structures just to collect taxes and maintain their new standing armies. Meanwhile, the influence of the Sabha and Samiti, it rapidly declined. The era of tribal consensus was completely over. The era of absolute monarchy and intense administrative control had officially begun. Which brings us to section 4, religion and philosophy. The religious landscape during this time became incredibly layered and complex. First off, we see a massive growth in the importance of yajnas, or grand sacrifices. Kings would perform these massive, elaborate rituals, sometimes lasting for months, just to legitimize their growing political power. And of course, this required a deeply specialized, highly trained priesthood, which gave rise to the Brahmana texts. These were basically extensive manuals detailing exactly how to perform these complex rituals. But here is where it gets absolutely fascinating. In direct reaction to these highly ritualistic, expensive practices, a profound intellectual shift occurred. This pushback led to the development of the Upanishads. The Upanishads actively moved away from animal sacrifice and rigid rituals, focusing instead on deep, internal philosophical questions about the soul, the universe, and ultimate reality. It is during this exact window in time that the foundational theories of karma, the idea that every single action has a consequence, and rebirth became central to Indian thought. The religious focus shifted from pleasing nature gods for material wealth to a deep, introspective search for spiritual liberation. Just imagine living in a later Vedic village for a second. Try to picture it. You wake up early and you hear the clinking of iron plows breaking that rich, dark earth, signaling a massive agricultural boom. You live within a highly organized territorial state, under a powerful king, whose administrators are literally walking the village paths collecting taxes. Off in the distance, you can see smoke rising from a grand, elaborate yajna, meant to secure the kingdom's prosperity. And yet, just on the outskirts of your village, under the shade of massive trees, a Gurukul is buzzing with intense debate. Students and teachers are actively formulating brand new, mind-bending philosophical ideas about karma, rebirth, and the nature of the soul. All of these massive historical shifts were happening simultaneously, right in front of the everyday person. So, to wrap this up and really solidify these massive historical shifts, let's review our core takeaways. Number 1, the geographical expansion eastward into the Ganges-Yamuna plains. Number 2, the economic boom caused by iron, which directly led to those rigid social shifts in the Varna system and family structure. Number 3, the political evolution, where simple tribal chiefs completely transformed into powerful divine right monarchs. And number 4, the incredible intellectual and religious growth, moving from grand performative sacrifices to the profound introspective philosophy of the Upanishads. If you can clearly explain those 4 pillars, you have absolutely mastered this historical era. I'm going to leave you with this final lingering thought. Think about the concepts of karma. Think about the structure of the family unit, or the deep philosophical questions that were first raised in the Upanishads. How do the political and philosophical foundations laid down 3,000 years ago during the later Vedic age still influence modern Indian society today? It really is amazing just how much of our present world is built directly on the foundations of the distant past. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep asking those big questions, and I'll catch you next time as we continue to explore the fascinating depths of history.